Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading the Shades of Magic trilogy. So the Shades of Magic trilogy is a fantasy trilogy that is now part of the Shades of Magic universe because there is a new trilogy in that universe. I mean, the first book has come out recently, and that is kind of like what gave me the motivation to finally read the series because it was just a series that was in the past, but now it is continuing, so I want to catch up and read the books as they come out. So I finally had the motivation to read the series, and I have heard amazing things about the series and this world, and so I was very excited to get into it. And I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers in this reading vlog, and let's get into it. Okay, so I am 45% into a darker shade of magic, and basically we learned that there are four different worlds, like four different Londons. And we have Red London, White London, Black London, and Grey London. And Red London is where our main character, Kale, is from, and it's like healthy and it has magic, and the world itself is like doing great. Then we have White London, which they also have magic, but they don't really have much of it, and people like try to control every like scrap of magic that they can find. And we also met like the king and queen of the White London, and they are absolutely horrible. And then we have Grey London, which has no magic, and it is kind of like dying, it's kind of decaying. And then finally we have Black London, which is kind of dead already because it was consumed by magic and it is basically gone. And so, like I was saying, our main character is Kel, and he is from Red London, and he is an Antari, and he can basically travel through the different Londons, different worlds. And he has been living in the palace, like the Red London Palace, since he was 5, but he's not like actually the king and queen's son. He was just left there when he was 5, and like he was raised as their son alongside their actual son, who's called Rai. And like Kel doesn't know anything from before he was 5. He has no memories, and he has like a mark on him, like a magical mark that was like made to erase his memories. And then you also meet a second character who is Lila, and she basically wants to be a pirate. And then we see Kel. He is at White London. He was like bringing a message from his realm to the White London realm, and he is there to deliver a message. And then he meets someone on the street who also wants him to like deliver a message and a thing to someone else. And so he takes the thing with him, and it turns out that the thing, it's like a stone, but it's like a magical stone. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's like either from Black London or it's like connected to the sort of magic that they had in Black London. And it is basically like a source of power because Kel ends up running into Lila, and she's from Grey London, which I think I forgot to mention. He ends up running into her, and she like uses the stone, and she's able to create things with the stone, and like she herself doesn't really have magic, so like she used the stone as a source of magic. And then there is like a guy from White London who is also an Antari. He has the same abilities as Kel. He goes after Kel because he wants the stone. I mean, actually he goes after Lila, and then Kel like kind of saves Lila from Holland, and then like she runs away, but then she goes back to save Kel from Holland. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Like apparently a lot of people want the stone, and Kel was basically like tricked into taking the stone out of White London, and it seems to be dangerous, and they seem to be in danger. And yeah, that is where I'm at, and I am really enjoying it. I am definitely still very confused about a lot of world building things, which is to be expected when you start a new fantasy series. At least when I start a new fantasy series, I'm always confused about the worlds. And especially like in this case, we have four different worlds, so I am extra confused. But like in a good way, I want to learn more. And I mean, especially I want to learn more about Black London and what happened there, because that seems very interesting. And I'm also really liking the characters, especially like the two main characters that we're following. Kale is very interesting, like especially with his powers and abilities. And Lila, she is like I love her personality already, and the fact that she wants to be a pirate just makes her even more cool. And yeah, I am really enjoying it. I am very intrigued and confused, but I am very invested in the plot and the characters already, and I'm having a great time. And I am probably gonna finish it and update you again unless something absolutely crazy happens. Okay, so I have finished A Darker Shade of Magic, and in this second half, we definitely got to learn more about Kale and Lila's pasts and about their lives. And we also learned that, like, almost, I think it was almost 300 years ago, like, the doors between the worlds were like all open, but then like they had to be closed because like Black London was dying and they didn't want to be like, affected by that. And when the doors were closed, all the like relics and stuff from Black London were supposed to have been destroyed, but obviously like that stone that they have was not destroyed. But Kale is afraid that it will like fall into the wrong hands, and like almost everyone's hands would be the wrong hands, so he like wants it to be destroyed. But given like the nature of the stone, like the magic in the stone, he doesn't think that it can just be destroyed, so he wants to like take it back to Black London. And when I read that, I got super excited because I have been wanting to learn more about Black London and to like actually see Black London. And so I was thinking that he was gonna go there, and I was super excited about it. But then they did not actually get to Black London because they had to like go through all the Londons, because they were in Grey London, and then they had to go to Red London, and then they had to go to White London because that's the closest to Black London. So they had to like go through all of them to get there. So firstly they go to Red London, and I mean they didn't even know if Lila would be able to go through because she's not an Antarai, so she cannot travel through worlds. But because she like had the stone, they thought that it could be possible because it's a source of power, so it could move her to Red London. And they do both actually manage to make it to Red London. And then Kale is found by the royal guards and he's taken to the palace. And the queen from White London, so Astrid, she is like controlling Rai, so like the prince from Red London and Kel's brother, and she is controlling him to like get to Kel, and she wants the stone. And apparently there are actually like two stones, I mean two parts of the same stone, and Kel has that one part, and Astrid and her brother have the other part. And she wants to like have the entire stone because she wants to open again like the doors between worlds, because she thinks that that could save White London, which is like dying and decaying. And so yeah, she just wants the stone to open the doors and basically to like rule over more than one London, more than one world. And then she, like I said, she was controlling Rai, so she like hurts herself, so like Rai's body. And then like Rai is dying, and Kale, I mean he's dead, like he does die. And then Kale bound his life to Rai's, like using the stone, so like Rai will be alive as long as Kale is alive. And Kale is like starts being consumed by the power in the stone, which is like a dark power, a dark magic. and he was like sure that he was already lost because he was gonna go to Black London, but he wasn't gonna be able to come out. So him being like bound to the stone doesn't really bother him that much. And then we learn that Lila actually does have magic. She has, I think the guy says, unawakened magic. And then Kel and Lila actually managed to make it to White London, and the two of them fight like the king and queen, so Astrid and I think his name was Athos. And yeah, they fight, and Kel kills both of them. Or, like, at least we think he killed them. I'm wondering if he actually did, because that just seemed, too easy. So I'm wondering if they're actually dead or not. But, like, as far as we know right now, they are both dead. And then Kel is, like, consumed by the power, like, in the stone, and he like tries to fight it, like the power itself, which I think is called Vitarai. And he's like fighting the power, and he like manages to destroy the power, and he wonders if that means that like the magic he did to connect himself to his brother will be gone, because he did that using the stone's magic, but he still has like the symbol, so his brother is still like bound to him. And then the last thing basically that happens is that Kel and Lila both go back to Red London, even though they don't have the stone anymore. I mean, the stone doesn't have the magic anymore because Kel destroyed it. Lila is still able to travel to the other worlds, and she doesn't really want to go to Grey London again, which is like her home, because she didn't really have anything there. Like, she didn't really have a life she wants to go back to. So she stays in Red London, and Kel gives her something to like practice her magic with. And that is pretty much how the book ends. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this book, and I continued to be invested the whole time. And I did think, like I said, that we were gonna get to see Black London, and I'm still think that we will at some point, but I thought we were gonna see that in this book, and I'm a little disappointed that we didn't. But that might be like my own fault for creating like those expectations. And I mean, I still really enjoyed what happened. I just created the wrong expectations. And also, this book ended with things like being much better than I expected, because like the king and queen of White London are dead, or at least we think they're dead. Kel and Lila, like, they're okay, and Kel's brother is okay as well, and like the magic from the stone is destroyed. And I mean, even if those things are not all true, like as they seem to be, we think things ended up really well, and I was not expecting that. Obviously, things didn't turn out 100% as they expected, but they still turned out really well. And that is not a bad thing. Like, I'm not complaining, but I just did not expect that. And also, it ended in a much more closed way. I was expecting more of a cliffhanger, since it's the first book in the series. Obviously, the story is not over, but it feels like finished to a degree, which again is not a complaint, but it's not what I was expecting. I still really, really enjoyed it. I can't say that I like loved 100% of it, but I still really, really enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it, and I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. And yeah, I am ready to go into the next book, which I think is called A Gathering of Shadows. So yeah, I am very excited to get into that. And that one is longer, so I don't know if I will update you halfway through or before, but either way, I will update you when I have something to say. Okay, so I am 49% into A Gathering of Shadows. And the book starts with Lila on a ship. She's finally on a ship that she's always wanted. And she's being absolutely iconic. And we also see like Kale and Rye like struggling with their bond that now obviously is connecting the two of them. And we also see Holland, who somehow is the new king of White London, and he seems to be creating Antarai, which, at first didn't think was possible, but then we get more information, and I think like I get it now. But basically, Lila is like, she's going back to London because the captain of her ship, I don't know exactly how to say his name, but like Alucard, maybe, possibly not. He is going to enter a like magical competition that is going to take place in London. So they are all going to go back there. And we immediately know that Alucard is like, he knows both Rye and Kel, and Kel kind of hates him. And also, still connected to that competition, Rye actually signs Kel up for the magical competition because with a bond, they can't just feel like the physical stuff that like each other feel. They can also feel like their emotions. And Rye feels that Kel is kind of like going insane, trying to just, stay safe, doing like not doing dangerous things to keep Rye alive. And yeah, Ryan knows that Kelly is kind of going insane with that, so he signs him up for the magical competition under a like a different name. And pretty much the last thing we see like with that part of the story is like Lila and the people in the ship getting to London, and Kel learns that Lila is back in London and he's like looking for her, and that is pretty much like all we get from those people. And then we get like a flashback from Holland because he was like sent to Black London, where he was supposed to die because there's nothing there. Black London is dead, so he was just supposed to die there as well. But he is found by like some magical being, and it says it's connected to like, I mean, that stone in book 1 is like part of that being's magic, and he tells Holland that they can like work together and he can save his world, like he can save Holland's world. But he's gonna need a body, so he's gonna need to be in Holland's body. And he is now, and they are like in White London, and that magical thing is inside of Holland, which I'm guessing is how he's creating the Antarai, because the magic from the stone, like we knew that it could create things, like it was a source of power, it could create magical things. And I'm guessing that is how Holland is creating the Antarai. And that is pretty much what happened. And I'm enjoying it, but I'm definitely enjoying Lila's POV much more than Kel's. And actually, I'm even enjoying Holland's more because it is like about the magic, the black magic thing, and that is really exciting. But in terms of Lila, like I really like the setting in the ship, and I mean she's an absolute icon, and the like dynamic between her and the other members of the crew, and I also really like her dynamic with Alucard, and I also really like to see Kel and Rye's dynamic because we are seeing it more in this book than in the first. And I mean, I am excited to see Kel and Lila reuniting because I'm assuming they're gonna get in trouble together, and that is gonna be fun. But I don't ship them like at all. And yeah, like not that much is happening in terms of the plot. It is like much slower than I expected. I mean, the plot is like the black magic thing. The only time that's happening is with Holland's chapter, so we haven't really gotten that much of that. And it's definitely not going exactly in the direction that I expected, like the book as a whole, because they're just focusing on like the competition and like getting to know the characters better. And I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I am not loving it. And I'm hoping like the second half will like pick up. And yeah, that is it. I'm going to read the second half and I'll let you know what happens and my thoughts on it. Okay, so I have finished A Gathering of Shadows, And after Lila is back in London, she decides that she also wants to enter the tournament because now she hasn't been like practicing her magic since she left London, which I think was 4 months ago. Like she has been practicing with Alucard and she wants to enter the tournament, but like she can't sign up anymore. The time for that is like over. It has been over a long time ago, but she wants to basically like take someone's place. So she is like going after one of the competitors and like knocking them out, and then Alucard finds her and he actually helps her. And then when we're like 70-ish% into the book, the tournament finally starts and we see Lila and Kale under a different name. I think the person he's pretending to be is called Kamarov. And we also see Alucard and we see them like competing, and that is actually super fun. Except with Holland's chapters, it was the first time in the book that I was like, this is super fun. And yeah, we see them competing, and Lila like uses a different kind of magic that she herself doesn't really understand. And then she and Kale like fight each other. Like they both know that they're fighting each other. Although Lila figured it out first, but they both know. And I mean, Kale loses, but he kind of like loses on purpose because the whole competition is like the people have masks on, so no one knows who they are. But like the three people who make it the furthest, they have an unmasking ceremony. And obviously no one can know that Kale, the like only Antari, is competing in a magical tournament. So he like loses on purpose. And Alucard is actually the one who ends up winning the competition. And at the same time, in White London, Holland sends like one of the Antari that he created, or maybe the only one. I mean, she's the only one we follow, but he sends her to Red London to find Kale. And she does find Kale, and she says that her king has a message for him. And it's basically that he wants Kale to help him rebuild White London. So they both go to White London. And when they get there, like Holland puts a sort of collar on Kale, and the collar inhibits his magic basically somehow, and that also means that like the magical bond he has with Rai is like it's fading because his magic is no longer working. And that means Rai is dying on Red London, and at the same time like the black magic thing like fully consumes Holland, and it decides to go back to Red London. So the black magic thing is going to Red London, Rai is dying, and Kel has the collar on that doesn't let him use his magic. And that is pretty much how the book ends. I sadly didn't love it as much as I was expecting and as much as I was hoping. And I think it's because the plot about the black magic was almost non-existent. We only got like little scraps with Holland. And I mean, I loved that. And I did really like the ending. But the rest of the book was not really focused on that, and so I didn't really love it that much. I feel like it was more focused on the characters, and I mean it was important for us to see like Lila's magic developing, but I don't think we needed like a full book to see that. And like I did enjoy it because I do like the characters, but I didn't love it. And also, like I said, Lila and Kale, I don't ship them at all. Like I don't think they have any chemistry at all. Like I felt like Lila had more chemistry when she was in the ship with Alucard. Not that I ship them, I don't, but you know, I feel like they had some chemistry. Or like in the one scene where she talked to Rai at the end of book 1, also more chemistry than she has with Kale. Like absolutely no chemistry. And also Alucard, he's such a fun character. I loved getting to know him. And yeah, like I was saying, I liked it, and the ending was super exciting, but I didn't love it like as much as I was expecting, and I also didn't love it as much as the first book, and so I'm giving this one 3.5 stars. And now we're going into the third and last book, a Conjuring of Light, I think. And yeah, I am excited for that, even though that is so long. That is such a long book. I think it's 620 something pages, so that is long. That is gonna take me a while, but I will probably also update halfway through, unless like I have so much to say that I have to update before. But if not, I'll talk to you again once I am halfway through that book. Okay, so I am 50% into a Conjuring of Light. And in the end of book two, Kel was like a collar was put on him and it was inhibiting his powers, and so Rai was dying because without the connection to Kel, he is dead basically. And Lila manages to travel to White London because it turns out she is an Antarai as well. And she finds Kel and she removes the collar from him, and he can't like right away feel the connection to Rai, but we learn like very quickly that Rai is alive and well. I mean, it takes him a while to like fully recover, but he's fine. And Ozaron, which is like the black magic entity, being, thing, he travels to Red London and he is like in Holland's body still, and he's like affecting people in Red London. And there is like a fog that he creates, and people are like being killed by that fog. And the ones that are not like exactly killed, they are influenced by Osaran to like do what he wants. And so people are trying to, survive that. And Alucard actually goes to try to save his sister from the fog thing, but she is already like under whatever the thing is, and he also gets infected when he's trying to save his sister. But his sister, like, she dies because of the fog, but he doesn't die, but he's also not influenced by Osaran. So he's like, he has kind of become immune. And we also learned that all Antarais are immune to that influence. So Kel, Lila, and also Holland, because eventually Osaran leaves Holland's body. And so the three of them and Alucard are immune. And also Rai, because since he's connected to Kel, he's not an Entarai himself, but his life is basically Kel's, so he's also immune to Osaran's influence. And Holland actually has an idea. He wants Osaran to get back into his body, and then he wants Kel to do a sort of spell that's like would kind of turn him to stone, so the power would be basically imprisoned inside of him and it couldn't keep destroying and killing and doing what he's doing. So they try to do that, but Osaran actually doesn't take the bait. So that does not work at all. And so they get another idea, and basically they are going to use an inheritor to basically remove Osaran's magic and like trap it. And Alucard actually had an inheritor years ago, but he sold it on a black market. And so now they are going to try to get it back. So Alucard, Lila, Kel, and Holland are like going to try to get it back, while Rai is going to stay, in his kingdom to try to, help the people that can still be helped, and to like try to prevent Osaran from making everything worse. And that is pretty much where I'm at. And I can say that I'm definitely enjoying it more than A Gathering of Shadows, because like the plot is plotting, and I am really loving to see the black magic being entity. That is super fun. Even though it's obviously like a bad thing, it is very fun to read. Even though I still feel like it is moving a little slower paced than I would have liked. I think maybe the book is like a little too long, because like I am liking it, I am really, really enjoying it, but I'm still not loving it. I am still not obsessed with it. And again, like we kept seeing Kel and Lila together this whole half of the book basically, and I still don't feel like they have any chemistry. But I mean, I know that people ship them, probably not everyone, but I know that a lot of people do, but I don't see, like I don't feel anything. But yeah, I am definitely excited to see the like black market thing, and I'm also very excited to see Osaran continuing to be destructive, because again, it is a bad thing, but it's very fun to read. And I'm excited for like the final battle that I'm sure is going to happen between our main characters and Osaran. So I still have high hopes for this book, and I am not absolutely loving it, but I am really, really enjoying it. So I am going to finish this book, and I'll let you know what happens and what I think about this book and just what I thought about the series in general. Okay, so I have finished A Conjuring of Light. And in the second half, we actually learn a lot about Holland's past. Like, we see a lot of flashbacks. We also see them finally getting to the black market to try to get the inheritor. But it couldn't really be Alucard the one to like get it because he was the one who sold it. So, it had to be one of the others. So Alucard, Kale, and Lila are the ones who actually go into the market, and each one of them has to buy something, basically. And the way that people buy stuff in that market is with years. Like, they give up years of their life in return for what they're buying. And what Kale ends up buying is, they call it anti-binding rings, I think. And basically, if several Antari, or I mean more than one Antari, are using the rings, they can bind their powers to each other. Like, obviously someone is like in charge of using the powers, but they can like all use their powers together. So like making them a lot stronger. And so their plan is to do that, to fight Osaran. While they are going back to London, they are actually attacked, and one of Kale's guards dies. And I actually really liked him. He was like nowhere near main character, but every time he appeared, I really liked him. So I was actually really sad that he died. And then back in London, Osaran is still attacking, and he ends up killing the queen and the king. So basically, like, Rai is now the king, pretty much. And when the others get back to London, they fight with Osaran, and Holland ends up being able to trap him, and that's it. They basically win, and then they decide to take the inheritor with Osaran's power to Grey London. Since Grey London has no magic, they think that it's gonna be safe there. And so, yeah, like I said, Rai is now the king, and Alucard stays with him, and Holland goes back to White London, and Lila goes on a ship to sail as the captain of the ship, and Kale actually goes with her because he wants to also see the world, and that is pretty much how the book ends. And I definitely enjoyed it more than the second book, and I thought it was like a good conclusion to the trilogy, but it also left enough like open things to the new trilogy. And there is something, actually, when they were at the black market, Lila, like, she had a fake eye, and she gave that eye in exchange for what she bought. But then, like, she was missing an eye, and the woman from the black market gave her like a fully black eye, which is like the mark of an anti-eye. All anti-eye have a fully black eye, and so she gives her a like fully black fake eye, and she tells Lila that she's gonna be owing her something, and when she needs, she's gonna call her. And I don't know if that's gonna be a part of the new trilogy, but like, I would really like to see that, because I really like that woman from the black market and just the black market concept as a whole. So I would definitely really like to see that. And I also like the final battle with Osaran, even though I didn't absolutely love it. I don't know why exactly, but like, I liked it, but I didn't absolutely love it. And I also liked how like the characters ended up. I actually really like Alucard and Rai together, and like, I love Alucard so much. He might actually be my favorite character of the series. And Lila and Kel, I really like them both, but I still don't care about them together, like, at all. But I mean, if they're happy, I'm happy because I like them. And Holland, I really, really love his character development, and also really liked learning about his past in this second half of the last book. And also, I don't know if I've talked about this already, but I really like the magic system in the series, in this world, that is super fun as well. And I didn't like 100% love this book, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I am giving this one 4 stars. And yeah, I mean, I have been wanting to read the series for so long, and it finally happened, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I mean, it's not like one of my new all-time favorite series, but it's still a series I had a lot of fun with. Because I really like the characters, I really like the magic system, and mostly I really enjoyed the plot. So yeah, I had a really good time with this series, and I am definitely excited for the next trilogy. I think only the first book is out, so I plan to read that one soon-ish, because I'm excited to see what's next in this world. And yeah, I think that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!